I told you this deck is nutty. Bro, I played this Uta deck at my locals tonight. I went 4-1. I only lost that one game to my boy Rye Guy on NL, who triggered an Amaru on his last life. It was very heartbreaking, but still so satisfied with how this deck performed. I'm gonna give you guys a breakdown, but I'm loving this deck so much, and I think this is a sleeper, bro. This deck is really cheap too. The only card that is expensive is the Nami, who's going for about $24 right now on TCG, each of them. But besides that, it's very cheap if you just get the starter decks. Starting with the leader, I'm sure you know what it does by now, but Don X1, when you have one Don attached to it while attacking, once per turn, you can reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a film card, you take it to your hand. So basically, you're paying one Don for a draw, and that's pretty solid in my book. The main idea behind this deck is to be utilizing that ability as much as possible to make sure that you can squeeze in that one Don for the leader attack every single turn if you can. So this deck does really like to go second, because then you have the extra Don, and then on turn 2 you can drop a 3 cost alongside of putting the one Don on your leader for the swing. Then the following turn you want to play Brook into Nami, use Nami's ability, then put your remaining Don on your leader and swing. It's so good. So you're building up the characters on board, you're building up the cards in your hand, and then the following turn, then you drop the Luffy, and then you play the Brook again, and then you play another Nami or something like that. It's so good. It is so freaking good, man. I'm gonna start with the film cards, which is most of the cards in the deck, because we want to get this leader ability as consistent as possible. 4 copies of Usopp, just really solid turn 2 play. It's a good card to get off Brook as well, just a 5k body, and it has counter. There's a lot of vanillas in here, but they put in work when they stack up. We've got the 3 copies of Jinbei, which totally could be Barto. He's probably just a better card in that slot, but this card's $70 each. I'm not paying that for this card. Jinbei honestly works fine. He is the Bird killer. Put one Don on him, he's a swinger. Make them invest something into killing this guy. That seems pretty cool to me. Next up, we've got the Chopper, just because he's a 2k. You never play this card, but it's just a 2k in your hand. Next up, we got the Nami, and she's super necessary in the deck. She is the most expensive card, but she's so solid. I mean, this just adds to the consistency of the deck. It's on play and when attacking, so they kind of have to remove it as soon as possible. Super good.
Super rare.
Next up, of course, we have the Brook, which is one of the enablers, where you play the 4 and then you play at 3, and you have a pretty solid board for 4 done. Then, of course, going into the Luffy, which is the combo. I have some gameplay as well on the channel in the last 2 videos if you want to check that out. But yeah, Luffy, the nuts combo is Luffy into Brook into Nami. So for 7 Don, you're getting a 7k, a 5k, and a 5k. And then you can do Nami's ability, then you put one on your leader. Like, you just get those cards back in your hand, and then you do it again the next turn if you want. Like, you don't even mind if they clear off some of your stuff. I mean, even like Luffy into Brook into this new card right here, the Uta, is really strong too, which is another blocker. And this allows you to be more aggressive with your guys, even though you're going to be aggressive with your stuff anyway. But it basically allows you to be aggressive with your 7-drop Luffy blocker. So you attack with him. At the end of the turn, you're gonna have events in your hand. Just ditch one, put your guys active. It's pretty sweet. Zoro, just because it's a film card and it's like fine off of Luffy. It's not the best, but it's okay. Then of course we're running like all these events from the new starter deck. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you pick up those 2 starter decks, 2 copies of the starter decks, and then you just get the Namis and of course the Doflamingos, then you're all set. For now. There's some other new cards I'm going to talk about in a sec that I want to put in the deck, but we'll start off with Blacklight right here, which comes in the starter deck, and it's just, this card is on crack. Like, 2 Don to either rest a 5 or lower, push for game, or clear off their board, or just to kill the 5 or lower rested character and clear off the board while swinging at their face and putting on so much pressure. And then you have this full hand of cards, so when they do remove the stuff, then you just play it again. And then, yeah, this card is so good, and you can always ditch it with Uta or with the event I'll talk about in a second here. Then we have New Genesis, which is literally a free search. You pay 1 Don and then you get the 1 Don back. and you look at the top 3 cards and your whole deck is film except for like 8 cards, so like you're gonna hit it. And yeah, I mean, there's no reason to not run this card. And then next up is I'm Invincible. 3 copies of it in the deck. This is kind of like your finisher, but it also can allow you to clear multiple bodies. This card is just versatile. Your opponent's gonna have to like play around it a decent amount sometimes. Sometimes I can't play around it. Sometimes you have multiple of these in your hand and you can do 3 swings. I have a video on that too, where a game where I did that. Yeah, this card is really nice as well. And then you could of course ditch it with the Uta, or ditch it with this card right here, which is a new addition to the deck, but I like it. This is just a simple 0 cost event for the plus 3k. And yeah, you're gonna have some dead events in your hand. You're gonna be drawing a lot of cards, so you're bound to have dead events in your hand, or like maybe like an extra Nami or extra Luffy that you don't want to play, and it just helps provide you with a little more counter with those dead cards. And then speaking of dead cards but amazing cards, Doflamingo, the 10-drop. This card is just one of the best cards in the game. 10 drops are historically just really strong in One Piece. So yeah, this card can go crazy, and if you don't need it, you can always ditch it with a 0 cost. But yeah, this is one of the whiffs. I don't want to run too many whiffs in the deck. There's only 8 whiffs in the whole entire deck for the Uta ability, but this I think is totally worth it. And then the other non-film card that we're running in here is Izo, which is just a 2k counter that has like the black light effect. You get to rest a 4 or less, and just one of the best green cards that exists. Since the only other 2k is the Chopper, this deck does want some more 2k counters in the deck. So yeah, I think this is, and there's no other good film cards besides like Barto. Like there's no other great film cards out there at the moment, until we get some new stuff. I do want to show you this card, however, which is what I do want to try in the deck. This is in the Uta deck battle, like promotional thing that they got going on right now at your local game shop. They actually had messed up sending out the kits. They sent out like only a limited amount of kits, so there's very few of these at the moment, but sometime in March there's going to be some more kits going around. There's still not going to be a lot, but this card is one of the cards in that kit, and you could get it if you go to one of these events. And it's going for $65 right now. I mean, look at this card. You pay 2 Dawn, and if your leader's Uta, then at the end of your turn, all of your film characters are set to active. So you can swing with your whole entire board and then set them as active. It is so good. And then the trigger sets them as active too, like, which is probably unnecessary, but geez, man. I really want this card. I can't justify $65 for it. I mean, I think it's better than Bardo, honestly, but yeah, I really want to try this card in the deck. It seems really nice. Probably as a 2 of, but yeah, it's too expensive. But if you have this card, if you did go to one of these deck battles, if your store is doing a deck battle, I would recommend going to it. I mean, you could get this card, or I think there's like 8 cards in total, and the lowest one is like 17 bucks. Like there's some alternate arts of the events that came in the starter deck. But there's also like these other cards. I think this is the only playable one besides the alternate arts, of course. But yeah, this is a card that I'm looking out for because I think it's going to be fire in this deck. And that's the list right there. I am so in love with this current list. I mean, the weakest card I think would be Jinbei. Still trying out these 0 cost events, but I'm liking them so far. And like I said, there's just not enough film cards, other film cards to replace the Izo, in my opinion. So yeah, I hope you guys give it a try. I actually think I'm gonna run this in the Treasure Cup this weekend. I'm like loving it so much, and I think it has a solid shot against like everything. Even Sakazuki, like I felt like they just have to remove so many things. Like I have such a wide board, and then you can just rest either the Borsalino or the Sabo at the end with Blacklight, and then just push for game. Like I think this deck is actually a sleeper meta breaker deck. Nobody's trying it yet besides me, as far as I've seen. So I hope you guys give it a try. Hope you guys smash it at your locals, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like and a comment if you liked it, and if you want to subscribe to the channel. I'm on my grind with this channel. I'm really looking forward to continuing to upload a lot of content, so hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. Peace.